Looks like we're live.
Excellent. Morning, everyone. I hope you can hear us. I hope it's coming through loud and clear. We'll start with formalities. So welcome to the NextGen Tableau powering up in the cloud. Very exciting session for you today. I've got a couple of things I'm going to run through just to kick us off. So in the spirit of reconciliation, CloudWorks acknowledges the traditional custodians of the country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea, and community. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and we extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. Um, Thank you very much. Thank you for attending. Welcome to WorksFest. What an exciting thing to be part of. This is a first for us. WorksFest was a one-day event last year. It's multiplied. It's turned into a four-day session this year. So I hope you've had your coffee, and I hope you're keeping up with us. Whether this is your first session or you've been with us for the last couple of days, I'm glad you could join us for this session. My name's Ryan Dean, and I will do my very best to be a good host for you all today. By way of introduction, I'm one of the client partners here at CloudWorks, and I take care of our clients across RCG, manufacturing, and travel. I've been part of the Salesforce ecosystem for more than a decade now. Fun fact, I wasn't always a partner. I started my Salesforce adventure as a customer. So I took care of a large multi-cloud Salesforce stack. So I know exactly the priorities you guys have to balance, and all the spinning plates your business relies on you to keep spinning. Um, Look, I suppose another fun fact, one of the first projects I undertook with a partner when I was in the early stages of my Salesforce journey was a Salesforce Wave initiative. So, this part of the ecosystem, it's really been a long-held interest of mine. So thrilled to be talking to you about Tableau Cloud and all the benefits and how to make it accessible and how to make it achievable for you all today. For those of you that are new to CloudWorks, I'll just take a minute to introduce, the business as a whole. Essentially, we transform how businesses use Salesforce by integrating with cutting-edge data, analytics, and AI tech. Our work extends beyond just implementation and boosting efficiency. We ensure the effective use of customer data and AI across the entire organization, which becomes a powerful catalyst for significant growth and of course, for innovation. With our recent acquisition of Lightfold, you'll meet one of the team shortly. And just for the record, the leading customer data company, certainly in this country. Combine that with our deep-rooted experience in Salesforce, CloudWorks is uniquely placed to help customers adapt to the change and ensure that they remain relevant and competitive, within the industries that they're servicing. During WorksFest, you'll have an opportunity to hear directly from customers who have seen these transformations firsthand. We're also offering educational sessions packed with actionable how-to tips, tailored to your topic, to your product, and to your industry. So make sure you check out those additional sessions. I suppose just a final word from me. I'm not the show today. I'm really just the intro and getting things kicked off. But in terms of housekeeping, today we want today to be a discussion. I encourage you to post any questions you have, for any panel member or for the panel in general. Use the Q&A button in the bottom menu bar. You can remain anonymous. You don't have to put your name or your company to it. Just participate. I think these sessions are most valuable when the content when the panelists are able to provide information and respond to things that you're personally interested in. Please also check out the resource button in the bottom menu. There'll be a couple of documents there for you today, and one of our fabulous marketing team will actually share this session back out. So if you want to rewatch it or share it with a colleague, you'll have that link later in the day. You'll be able to do that. Um, Joining me today, we've got quite the crew. So I'll start with Stephen Street. Stephen is Principal Solution Engineer with Tableau. He's based over in Perth. Truly one of the finest analytic and data visualization minds you're ever likely to meet. I'm proud to say one of my team members, Graham Lewis, CloudWorks from Lightfold, from the integration I mentioned before, his title says enthusiasm battery. I don't think that's on his employment agreement, but as he gets going, you'll certainly see that he lives up to the name. He's just one of those beautiful humans that you get to work with every now and again. And then last but not least, we have Alex Ulrich, who I'm very pleased to say is my friend and colleague over at Tableau. Alex currently serves as the Regional Vice President for Tableau at Salesforce. He's based here in Sydney as well, with over a decade of experience at Salesforce, so over a decade in a very high-performing organization. Alex has demonstrated exceptional leadership in transforming financial services through innovative technology solutions. Before his current role, Alex held several strategic positions at Salesforce, including VP of FinServ. His journey began in San Francisco, so not an Australian native, but we've since adopted him, and I think he's adopted us. I could go on. I honestly could go on. Alex is close to one of my favorite people, but we're really excited because Alex is going to enlighten us on Tableau Cloud, a revolutionary tool that's reshaping the landscape of data visualization and business intelligence. His insights will undoubtedly provide us with valuable perspectives we can apply to harness the power of data and to drive business success. I hope I haven't puffed that up too far, Alex, but I've known you a while. I'm sure you're about to dazzle us.
Ryan, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thanks to you and the CloudWorks team, the Lightfold team for having us join you. We're really excited about this, and thank you to everybody in attendance. This is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. As Ryan said, I started off my journey as a cloud native with Salesforce. There was never really an option for any other way of using Salesforce services. And my move into Tableau, I completely understand the reasons why there are options available. But I think what we really want to talk about today is, like the screen says, why Tableau Cloud? It's not always an easy journey for organizations to move from an on-premise based solution of any kind to a software as a service solution. But there are lots and lots of benefits to doing so. We have lots of customers that have made that journey, that have, agreed to be reference customers. There's stories you can read on our blog. There's, reference customers we'd be happy to get you in touch with to talk about that. There is the Tableau user group where, if any of you in the call here attend those would know that it's a great way to talk to somebody, typically on the tools that can tell you firsthand, just the life-changing experience of going from managing a Tableau server to being a Tableau Cloud customer. Now, I really look at this as a data accessibility topic. How do we make data accessible to everyone in your organization? Do it in a safe and secure manner. And I know that security is a high on the priority list, if not the top of the discussion when it comes to potentially moving from Tableau Server to cloud or moving from other systems over to Tableau Cloud. We have experts within our organization that can dive deep into those conversations with you. We've got experts within Lightfold and CloudWorks, and they are a tremendous partner of ours. And they'll talk a little bit more at the end about how they're willing and able to help any of you that have joined us today kind of assess this solution and see if it's right for your organization. We do have a customer story, and I think we can send it out after to everyone, but it's an interesting one for me because Juniper Networks is a technology company kind of on the forefront of AI, and they had been a Tableau Server customer, and through their assessment determined that there were too many times in which their servers on their premises would have downtime, and it would cause issues for their employees to have access to the right insights and information. So they did make the decision to move to Tableau Cloud. They saw quite a bit of a benefit from it, not just dollars, in savings for, not running servers anymore, but performance of dashboards went up 50%. There was an 84% reduction in the time spent on upgrades and maintenance, and a 90% decrease in IT support requests. Now, I know I've gone through those very quickly, but those are really significant, particularly for an organization at scale. And any size organization can really take advantage of the benefits, the security, the encryption at rest, the encryption in transit. We can go through all those details at a slower pace when the time is right for each of you. But the benefits of what you will get in the product is what we're here to talk about now and spend a bulk of the time going through. So it's my pleasure to hand over to Stephen Street. And as Ryan mentioned, one of our amazing solution engineers had his hands on the tool for quite some time, seen server, seen cloud, well versed in both. And he's going to take us through a bit of an overview of the capabilities of the solution. And then we can go into a Q&A should there be any questions.
Thank you so much, Alex. Really appreciate that. And yeah, the money's in the post for all those wonderful words that you gave me. I do appreciate that. Why Tableau Cloud? Well, as mentioned, I've been working with Tableau for over 6 years now. So I've seen a real transition in that time of people wanting to move away from the arduous part of using Tableau Server, that administration side, the lag in actually getting the latest versions, and thinking about software as a service. And there's key benefits that Alex has already touched on. Jaguar Land Rover is another one who were using Tableau extensively over in the UK. And one of the things I'll pick out on there is that they really wanted to move to a Tableau Cloud environment because it gave them the chance to scale easily. And they have over 36,000 subscribers, one of our biggest companies worldwide. And then, as mentioned, looking at Juniper Networks, that 50% improvement in dashboard performance, that's tempting enough just as it is, isn't it? So why migrate to Tableau Cloud? Well, let me kind of break it down into some of the key reasons and the key benefits that customers see when they move to Tableau Cloud. And they really come into these larger categories. One, around innovation. If you want to be on the latest and greatest, if you want to get access to all of the new capability that Tableau can offer to you, and you want that with a zero-time upgrade, which means it happens seamlessly for you and your users, then think about Tableau Cloud. We'll give you access to Pulse. We'll give you access to Einstein Copilot in Tableau. All of those things will be available to you first in Tableau Cloud. Cost is another big one that people always focus in on, because ultimately you're freeing up resources. You don't need to pay for the hardware that people are running on. The security side of that comes into play as well, and they almost work in tandem together. But we make sure that we meet the highest security standards for all organizations who use Tableau Cloud. And as a company of any size, you will benefit from that across the board. And finally, that point that I mentioned around JLR, the ability to scale. We will scale the platform for you. So there's no concern about, is it going to be performant as I add more capability, more users? So let's break those down just a little bit. We'll start with scale and work our way back up. So with scale, you may know that Tableau have a number of different points of delivery, pods for short, around the world. And these are available to you now in Australia and Japan in the APAC region, but you can choose from any site which is actually relevant to your organization. There's a big, bold statement at the bottom there talking about Hyperforce. Hyperforce is the infrastructure platform that Salesforce use. And as a Salesforce company now, we will benefit from using that. We are transitioning our points of delivery to the Hyperforce platform. What does that mean? Well, ultimately for you as a customer, if you're a Salesforce customer, you've gone through that security and compliance, and you'll get all the benefit of that same security and compliance check as soon as you're available on Hyperforce. It also opens up a number of different regions for us around the world. So that's coming soon. Security, Alex pointed this out, is always a primary concern. Will my data be secure in Tableau Cloud? Well, at Salesforce, trust is our number one value. And we ensure that by maintaining that trust through security of your data. We firmly believe your data is yours. It's not for us to own, not for us to maintain, not for us to conceal. We want it to be secure and for you to feel confident that you're partnering with the right group to make sure that that is maintained. Of course, you've got ISO compliance, certifications across the board. You only need to go to our compliance portal and you'll see those. As well as that, you'll see some of the more recent compliance, GDPR and HIPAA that we are now conformant with. And whether you're in the healthcare industry or not, actually having HIPAA compliance should give you the confidence and trust that we can maintain the highest levels of security for your data. We work with financial organizations across Australia and beyond. They have some of the greatest requirements around security of data, and we meet all of those so that they're confident to go ahead. So if you want to understand more about our security and compliance, we can give you that information to make sure that you're happy to use Tableau Cloud. Cost is also a huge one when we think about moving away from Tableau Server. There's a lot to maintain when you use a Tableau Server environment. It's not just the server admins themselves, but of course the hardware, the requirement to actually set up and install your own software in those environments, the availability of those environments too. Can you actually have those planned outages or even those unplanned outages should they happen? What do they cost you? Well, with Tableau Cloud, you have a 24/7 available system, and we do all of that administration for you. We will scale it to meet the needs of every customer on that pod, so you don't need to. And finally, probably the more exciting one of all of the advantages that we see, but with innovation. And Tableau now has been on this journey for what, 20 odd years, 21 years since 2003, with leading edge innovation year after year. Over 90 capabilities were released in 2023 alone. And you may have heard of some of the new capabilities that we brought to market, like Tableau Pulse, and we will be doing in future this year with things like Copilot for Tableau and Copilot in Prep. Things around the platform, Hyperforce I mentioned, but Cloud Manager, which allows you to create multiple sites, have Data Connect and Private Connect for those links where you don't need to use something like Tableau Bridge as a gateway to get to your on-premise information. And of course, we're making our platform more composable and making it available for people to utilize in whatever use case they need for their ecosystem. So things like embedded Tableau Pulse, the VisQL data service, so they can compose and split apart those capabilities. Now, let me show you a little bit of that innovation just to tease you into thinking about why you would like to move to Tableau Cloud. And we've seen with AI really over the past year or two, how effective it can be in making you more proficient in what you do. So as an assistant, AI can really benefit you along the way. And as I mentioned a couple of times, Einstein Copilot for Tableau is already in beta and will be released later this year. So we're hoping this will really accelerate the capabilities of all of your employees and your users of analysis. Let me give you a little flavor of how that might look in your organization.
About to get good.
So you're actually in the Tableau environment. Yeah, Ryan, cut in.
No, I was going to say it's about to get good. These Copilot features, they're popping up all over the Salesforce ecosystem. We've had the pleasure of working and implementing a couple for clients. They really, if you haven't seen them, they are super impressive. So hang on.
Yeah, it's one of the benefits of actually being part of the Salesforce ecosystem is that we can have something like Copilot as an AI assistant, a consistent AI assistant along the journey. Now here in Tableau, we've actually got standard visualization around some of our top accounts. You can interact with Einstein Copilot direct from here. And because AI is very good at this, it may well suggest some stepping off points, some ways to start interrogating the data that you've already loaded, such as what are the top accounts that are not Tableau customers? Well, simply by selecting that option, it will create a visualization for me. And I can now understand, okay, these are the top accounts that we've got. We can see some of those that aren't Tableau customers. And because this is built into the capability, we can interact with Tableau like we always do. So if I wanted to select just those which are not Tableau customers and focus my analysis in on those, I can do so using the standard capabilities in Tableau. Of course, we can jump in and ask questions of an AI assistant as well. So I might ask, where are they located? And of course, with that, a where inclusion, it may say, well, you probably want this in a map. So let me show you on a map just where you have each of these customers, so I can see where they're distributed across the US here. And I may want to layer on some of my events data that I've been bringing into this visualization as well. So I can see potentially where we've got some events coming up over the next couple of months, which we can then entice these customers to hopefully convert them to Tableau. So again, with simple interactions using AI, I can now layer on some capability, which allows me to see exactly where my events are going to be held and the customers in those surrounding areas. Now, AI won't just be infused as part of the creation process using Einstein Copilot. We'll also allow you to use it in things like Tableau Prep to make that far more easy and efficient for your users. Now, for those of you who haven't used it, Tableau Prep is a capability to allow you to clean, prepare, and get your data ready for analysis. So it takes away from some of that overload that you have to do further back in the pipeline and allows end users sometimes to actually go and bring this data together. So in this instance, I'm going to use Einstein, and I'm going to use Einstein Copilot here to help me build just an idea of how we're going to utilize data across these data sets. Now, this is survey data that I have in here. And for any of you who've worked with survey data in the past, you know it can actually be a little bit cumbersome sometimes to bring that all together. So let me ask Einstein to help me achieve my goal. And here what I want to do is actually say, can I actually bring in all of the data that I have here and base it and rate it based on the tone of the reviews that we're seeing within this data. Now, doing so would require a few different steps in Tableau. But using Einstein, I can actually do all of those steps far quicker and easier and less error prone than I had in the past. And the good thing about using Einstein Copilot here is that essentially Einstein will guide me every step along the way. Now, first and foremost, he keeps the human in the loop. So it's not just a process that goes off and does it behind the scenes, but essentially validates the steps that are going to be taken with the user. So I can decide, is this the right plan of action? Let's input all of those files that we have and union them all together. Again, something you can do in Tableau Prep quite quickly using drag and drop, but ultimately it's taken those steps out of the equation and done it all for you in the matter of seconds. I then want to clean and remove
really
duplicate
cool.
rows.
Stephen, that I wanted to jump in there because that's really cool. What it's doing there by being able to shift from being able to understand what is in those files, understand what their context is for the business, and then join them together for a business user with just being able to, ask. That's amazing. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, just imagine, Graham, how
I told you it was going to get good.
These capabilities now, right? Is that it will do a lot of that grunt work, as I like to call it, for you, meaning that you can move on to the tasks which are adding more value to the process rather than just the mundane step-by-step capabilities that are there. I can clean and remove the duplicate rows that are in here, so we no longer have that kind of information available in there. Duplicates is obviously something that's very common in data, especially when we union that together. So if we have any problems with the data and we want to remove those duplicates, we can do so using Einstein here, but actually using Tableau Prep. And then run sentiment analysis, which hasn't been available to us up to this point, but now we've got sentiment analysis built into the capability in Tableau Prep. No longer do you have to move out to libraries in R or Python and bring those in as a script. You can actually run the sentiment analysis direct in here. And importantly, when we're running this sentiment analysis, we can actually edit. We can change the way that this sentiment analysis is being used. So it's not just a case of you have to accept the defaults. You can actually use and interact with this sentiment analysis creation on the fly. So if I wanted to see, okay, what are our positive values that we see across the board, we can interact with that like we do normally in Tableau Prep, and with that change potentially some of the values that we see in there. So if I wanted to move this out and say, okay, what are these ones at 0.3? The sentiment here that we're looking at may well not fit with exactly how Einstein has seen it. So make sure that you don't focus or you don't fall foul of any capability which isn't as you expect. Then you can utilize this here just to confirm these ones at 0.3 related look to be not great. So perhaps I want to move my positive analysis up a little bit further and change that on the fly. That's the great thing about using Einstein Copilot in Tableau, is that not only does it take away a lot of those capabilities that you would have to go through step by step, it actually allows you to utilize that on the fly, working with Einstein as you go. So Einstein Copilot for Tableau is in beta already, will be available hopefully later this year for you all to use in Tableau Cloud. But AI isn't just about using a Copilot. You've seen many of our competitors utilize Copilots in their capability too. AI can also provide real insight when you're thinking about how you work. And we want to make sure that we leverage that capability so that all of your users, from the C-suite all the way down to every single frontline worker, can make better decisions driven by insight. How are we doing this? Through Tableau Pulse. This is really where you can have that personalized metrics that matter to you, that you can follow. They're contextual, they're there in your flow of work to guide you and help you prioritize. And they're intelligent. They will prioritize all of the details that you're looking at and put them in context of the way that you work day to day. This is already available to you in Tableau Cloud, and you can actually go and try that out for yourself. To get to see what that looks like, then Tableau Pulse here is giving me some idea around device sales that we have across my organization. Now, note that we've actually got information here. If I step back a moment, that I can see all of the device sales that we've got, how many units we're selling, what period we're looking at. We've got this based on data which is governed and secure, so we know where that's come from, but we can understand where it's coming from as well. So with AI guidance, it might suggest ways that we want to interrogate this data. So I can ask, what are those particular reasons why these device sales have been increasing over the past period? And you can see now with a visualization and some narrative to help me understand exactly what is causing that issue. If we want to go any further, we can use this as a natural language interaction capability too. So I might want to ask, will we fulfill our phone orders? So I'm looking at my inventory based on the fact that our device sales have gone through the roof, just to make sure that we're not missing out on any of these orders as well. And again, we get a new visualization generated by Tableau to tell me about my inventory fill rate. And it looks as though, although device sales going up is a great thing, we might want to look at our inventory and our backfill to make sure that we can meet those demands. Again, all of this is powered by AI in the background, giving me those kind of summaries and giving me those priorities as my data changes throughout the day. I want to be able to do this with others, share and collaborate with other people. So I might pick out my sales team and add those to the followers so that they then get this important metric in their Tableau Pulse capability. Now, Tableau Pulse will be available in the Tableau platform. Here you've got kind of front screen, the home screen that you can access. it gives you this wonderful summary of all of the metrics that you follow. Importantly, it tells you how they're moving and it prioritizes the ones which it thinks you should look at. So we can see here we've got 12 metrics that we're looking at here. 3 of them have moved unfavorably, and we might want to take a look into those. It's available to you as part of that platform, but we want it wherever you work. So we'll bring you Tableau Pulse Digest in Slack and in Teams to come as well, so that you get that daily or weekly digest on the schedule of your choice of all the metrics that are important to you. Have it there available to you in email. And it's absolutely designed for mobile devices. So you've got this ability to get a very simple, easy layout to follow. So you have all the metrics that are important to you and your role available to you day to day. So Tableau Pulse is already available to you with Tableau Cloud. If you want to try that out, you can go and try that for free, just with a trial. Now, we want to move people away from this kind of idea of using lightly governed analytic silos, from being more analyst-led and dashboard-driven, into an environment where you're much more insight-driven with Tableau. I believe Tableau Cloud will give you those capabilities, and these are the kind of high-level aspects of Tableau Cloud that people really focus on. That access to innovation, reduction in those costs, looking at security as a priority, and making sure that they can scale no matter how their business evolves. You have all of that with the backing of the Tableau platform, and of course our amazing data farm that many of you have already connected with. So Tableau Cloud, I firmly believe, is really the #1 platform to allow you to move forwards in your organization. Now, Graham, I know you've been working with a lot of customers who have shown interest in Tableau Cloud and in fact have moved to Tableau Cloud as well, so that they can realize that potential. What have been some of the reasons that your customers have been excited about that potential?
One of the biggest ones is the fact that people are moving so much of the surrounding data in their organization into cloud environments, and they're wanting to have it be moving quickly. They're wanting those insights flowing to their users quickly. They're wanting to have data from many, many, many different environments, as you mentioned before, securely being provided to their users. And it's something that is far easier to do in the cloud than it is on server, especially with the dynamic scaling, with being able to say, you know what, we need more power. Okay, great, let's just do that. It's not going to take us months of rolling something out. We can just move quickly. That's one of the biggest reasons. I think the other big reason that's happening at the moment, and this one maybe is a little bit more tied to other elements of the Salesforce ecosystem, but the fact that Hyperforce means that everything inside your Salesforce environment, it can be flowing out to your Tableau users through Tableau Cloud. It's incredibly easy to get that working. And so suddenly that same data that you've got that's giving people amazing insights inside of their Sales Cloud or Marketing Cloud or Data Cloud anywhere is also flowing to all of the rest of your business users. It's pretty huge. I think the last thing, and this is sort of, I guess, really going back to one of the other things you mentioned, but performance. There's an interesting thing around visualization performance, and this is something that comes from app development. There's an amount of time that a human being will not notice an app doing something, and it's around about 3 to 4 seconds. As long as what's happening in front of them takes less than about 3 seconds, users will get into a state of flow, and they'll find the tool being, effectively something that is an extension of their brain. They're working with it almost in real time. As soon as you get to those 10-second, 20-second dashboards, obviously the information is still amazing, but it's a little hiccup in that user's flow. And so once you're in that cloud environment and you've got all of that additional power and flexibility to throw at performance for dashboards, it's a weird thing, but shaving off those few extra seconds even can mean a massive difference in a user's experience in how they are going to be interacting with it.
Yeah,
and that,
absolutely.
of course, then And then that, of course, then drives adoption. And adoption is ultimately the metric when you've got a tool that is a per user per month fee, right? You want it to be used and adopted, and that experience is what's going to drive that. I'd actually love to kind of flip it around to yourself as well, Stephen. What are people out there kind of gravitating to out of these newer features? I mean, obviously Pulse is incredibly exciting. Copilot is exciting. How are you seeing people beginning to ask questions about those products? Are they getting really down to the nitty-gritty of, you know, what LLM is in the background, or are people more interested in how it's going to be governed and secured? I'd love your thoughts there.
Of course, you know, the first thing that comes to mind for most people is around the cost of cloud and the cost of running their Tableau Server environments, and then security.
Yeah.
Then there's the shiny new things that come into play around Pulse and Copilot.
Yes.
And I don't think customers yet are realizing the full potential of what Pulse can do for them. They're excited by the potential, and we want to give it to them, get it in their hands so that they can really realize how good it could be for their organization and what a difference it could make.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you know, you need to go through those compliance and security checklists just to make sure that people feel confident in how they're being used. We've all heard about hallucinations and toxicity when it comes to using any kind of AI capability, and there's hesitancy there. But again, when we talk about our number one core value being trust, it's important that we looked at that aspect of AI right up front. And when we can delve into the details a little bit later on for anybody, then we can go into the Einstein trust layer and how we communicate with those large language models to make sure that we're utilizing it grounded in your company data, but ensuring that there is no leakage of your data, that it's obfuscated, that the connections that are made to those large language models don't retain any of that data. Those are the things that are important to ensure we bring trust to that whole communication. But certainly using AI is really going to elevate what people can do in organizations, and I'm excited to see where we go with that.
100%.
And
Stephen,
Steve,
if I might, sorry, just before we continue, if I might, Stephen, if I could steal sharing from you, and I'll share on my screen for the next chunk.
I just want to make a comment around Pulse. I view Pulse, back to my comment around data accessibility. Graham, you make a great point about the time, you know, the user experience really is what you're talking about, you know, 3 to 4 seconds versus 10 plus. Making data available is one step. Making it accessible to end users and a good experience is really how you're going to increase adoption and get greater value out of the work you're doing. The way I see Pulse is that for me personally, it's a trend spotting tool. I can see a trend as it's starting to happen. And, you know, I can see a positive trend, and back to Steve's demonstration, an increase in device sales, that's fantastic. But I know that there's other components that need to be addressed in order for that to be fully realized and to provide my customers with a great experience. So I think trend spotting is huge. Rather than seeing a snapshot or a dashboard of what happened in the past, I can see what's happening now and where the trend line is taking me and take action to make sure I'm maximizing some positive trend or I'm minimizing the effects of a negative trend.
You're 100% correct. And it's something that I was thinking about while you were talking before, Stephen, about and as you've just reiterated, Alex, around those metrics and having a Pulse homepage where you're getting things and then being able to share it with people. Something that I've done a lot in my career working with data is trying to gravitate towards a push rather than pull environment for data and for insights. You want the interesting things about your data to be being pushed out to people when they need it, not for them to have to sit there going, okay, what do I need to know right now? All right, let me go click on this. All right, let me find. No, we really want it. Yeah, we know what's interesting, right? We know what's going to get pushed out to people. So having something where an end user can be being informed about things that are trending and happening right there and being able to then ask the next question without you needing that dashboard development time leading up to it. We've built some amazing dashboards that do facilitate push out, but if you can do it on the fly as an end user and have it be able to share with your team, it takes it to a whole nother game level and takes it to a point where it's something that is rapid. You get that information when you need it, rather than needing to have that lag time of several weeks of analyzing the data. It's hugely important.
Absolutely.
We've got a few more slides left, and these last ones, actually, and I should say, both Stephen and Alex, thank you both so much for making your time available to come and talk to us, to show us those features, to talk to us a bit about the benefits of Tableau Cloud. We've got a couple more slides that are talking about how CloudWorks can help if you're an organization out there who are interested in either implementing Tableau Cloud straight from a standing start, or if you've got Tableau Server and you'd like to know, how do I migrate to cloud? We've got a few slides here that talk about how our offerings, but also just our principles about how we think you'd best do that. We're pretty well positioned to have an opinion on this, primarily because Lightfold, recently acquired by CloudWorks, we've been working in the data and data architecture space for the last 4 or 5 years. And of course, our team have been working in it for more decades than anybody would like me to mention. So we know data architecture, and ultimately moving from server to cloud is going to be all about your data architecture. There are going to be things you need to configure in cloud, of course, but actually that's the easy part. It's going to be getting your data moving to that new environment in a way that's automated. We've got 3 major sections that we'll work through. So preparation and planning. And if I'm looking over here, that's where all my slides are. You'll see me looking over there. But we've got preparation and planning. Then you've got the migration execution, actually conducting the plan, and then finally testing and deployment. And realistically, those are the 3 phases you're going to find in almost any lift to the cloud, and it's no different for Tableau Cloud. So let's jump into the first section. Preparation and planning. Effectively, 3 major steps here. And these are things that we would encourage you to do yourselves, or if you'd like help, absolutely, we would be just extremely happy to help with this phase. Current state assessment. You want to know what your current Tableau environment is actually doing. You want to know what dashboards people are using, what data sources are flowing into it, what user roles people have. You also want to talk to all of those users in your business who've got Tableau desktop, maybe connecting to some, what do they call them, PIBX files. And okay, so what's going on there, guys? We want to know, we want to get that all figured out so that we aren't leaving anybody behind. And that when we make that move, no users sitting there going, oh, this is something that I used to do every Monday and now I can't do it. We need to find all of that out first. Migration strategy development. Once we understand that full current state and we understand what we want to achieve by the lift to the cloud, we work it through, we make sure we plan it out very, very well. And we really want to talk to end users. This is something that I think is sometimes missed in data architecture, is that ultimately the entire thing is there to serve a user clicking on something. That's what it's there for. So we need to make sure we're starting with those end users and ensuring they're going to be taken on the entire journey as well. That's your change management plan. We want to make sure we've got some champions amongst our users who are going to be understanding what's about to happen in the lift to cloud. You can see there, we've got an offering on the side there. We do this as a fixed price offering, typically about 18,500 for the full state readiness of everything you've got. And then if you'd like help with a migration strategy, we can also do that. These are short, sharper engagements. We've done many of them over the last couple of years, so something we know very, very well. All right, jumping to the next section. Let's get it actually done. How do you execute your migration? A couple of big things you want to do. You've got a huge amount of information that'll be stored in your Tableau Server environment. You're going to need to get that to the cloud. Beyond that, you've also got a huge amount of content. You've got dashboards people are using. You've got dashboards people maybe even have in their personal Tableau desktop. We want to make sure we're capturing all of that and getting that moved to the cloud. We also want to make sure that we've got the right users set up with the right level of access. This is the fundamental point where we're going to be figuring out, or rather, where we're going to be layering on that first and arguably most important layer of security, which is ensuring that the right users have the right level of access. It's critical because from there, everything else flows. And then lastly, system integration. It's a single line there, but this could be huge for you, or it might only be a small piece of work. But system integration is, you now have a incredibly powerful tool sitting in the cloud. This is your moment to connect a whole bunch of other cloud data sources that you may have and have them just flowing in, have them flowing in on an hourly rate, or even, even perhaps less than that if you've got some really time critical use cases. This is an important moment to getting the most value out of your jump to Tableau Cloud. This is where you can really get those single view of customers, those unified customer profiles if you're using something, for example, like Data Cloud. This is also where you'd want to make sure that, again, security is key. So your integrations need to be happening with tooling that is going to meet your AI, so your data strategy and potentially your AI strategy as well. Again, these ROM costs here, this is really, I just wanted to give you some ideas about how this sort of thing can cost. Realistically, this is going to be more bespoke to every single one of our clients, but it doesn't cost the earth. It's not something that's going to be mega expensive. You can do this reasonably cheaply, and it's even something that you can be a little bit agile about. So you can do a few chunks and then the next chunk and then the next chunk.
I've got to tell you, G, I've been floating around this space for a while now, and you are the first professional, you are the first partner that kind of gives these numbers out in advance. Everyone wants to take everyone into a back room and have a conversation under shadows and darkness. So, the transparency is fabulous. I love it.
Well, and actually, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I mean, because it actually pauses me for a minute, because something that we do in this space. We can't do this with every service we offer, but in this space, we offer this as a fixed price engagement. So once we've worked with you to figure out this is what it's going to cost for your migration, that's what it's going to cost. If it takes us an extra month, that's on us. It's not going to change the commercials. So once we figure that out, you can lock it in, which is a very nice feeling of safety and comfort, because it can be a bit daunting looking at this huge piece of work in front of you. But once you know what it costs with us, that's what it's going to cost. It's a fixed price engagement.
I tell you what, Jay, transparency, accountability, is there any box you don't tick?
Probably being able to talk in less amount of time. But thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it. I honestly, I haven't paid Ryan anything for those. That's lovely. Thank you.
No, he hasn't. Not a dollar.
But then, yeah, the last piece here is then testing and deployment. This is critical, of course. Once you've got it deployed, you then need to make sure that it's critical to the adoption. It's critical to getting value from it. You're going to make sure that everything works the way you expect it to. We were talking before about dashboard performance. You want to go to that point and say, okay, cool. We were getting X level of performance through these dashboards in server. No matter what, we're going to get better than that, but let's see how we can dial it in. Do we need to look at additional compute resources or what have you, right? Let's make sure we're really, really well sorted there. User acceptance testing, critical, of course. These items here, I guess you could think of these for virtually any cloud lift again. It's the same things you need to do. You need to test it. You need to make sure the users have accepted it, because otherwise, again, you won't drive any value. Going live is typically something that we partner very carefully with people on, because that go live is a process where things could go wrong and you need to be able to have a partner who's working with you on it. As long as you've done all the other steps, it's unlikely things will go wrong, but we want that comfort. We want to be able to be there with you as you go live. And then finally, post-go live support. It's not a, here you go, and then ninja vanish. We need to stay embedded with you for a month or two following go live to make sure we're there to smooth over any bumps and wrinkles that may happen. Maybe we did miss a dashboard and somebody's got one critical that they need with a data source that somehow everybody missed. Great. Let's help you with that. Let's get that done. And similarly to how we do everything else, it's again fixed price. So our post go live support there, $20,000, 3 months, but it's not a ticketing system. It's actually effectively unlimited support during that time. Tweaks, changes, minor additions, things like that. Oh, we were missing these fields on this dashboard. We need them. Great. Just put them in. And that's, again, all fixed price. So it's not a sudden cost out of the blue that you need to manage. I think I've run through that pretty well. Ryan, is there anything big that I've missed?
Perfection.
Perfection. I love that.
Perfection. I think, because I know what's coming next, I think maybe circle back to, how people get started. People are excited. They've seen the features. They understand the benefits. They want access to innovation. They want to reduce cost. They want to make sure their stuff's secure, and their visualizations are now meeting their other cloud-based tools. How do they get started?
Yeah, awesome. Well, you're exactly right, and it is exactly what's coming next in the deck. We're very, very open with our costs, and we're very, very open with what are then delivered in those. Something we haven't talked about today, and it's a term that you're seeing here, tesseract. Tesseract, other than being a funky Marvel reference, it's actually a design method that our team and our director of product and design, Kylie Willett, has been working on for the last decade or so. It's not rocket science. It's human-centered design, but tweaked for data and for AI and for data architecture. Human-centered design is at the core of everything we do, because that's how you can make fixed price work, because you like a laser to the value to the end user. Tesseract is a design method that has, I think, about 20 different modules at this point we've built. Modules for AI, modules for data estate analysis, modules for the 3 V's of data. I think there are 4, but we care about 3 of them: volume, velocity, and variety. There's a whole bunch of different things. And whilst it's a fixed price engagement, the exact modules is something that we work out with our customers. So we say, okay, do you have, more of a focus on large amounts of data, or do you have more of a focus on large amounts of dashboards or many different user groups? And we work that through to make sure that we've got that full readiness assessment coming out of the other end. But yeah, I guess that's really where I can leave it for now. And maybe we can throw over to some questions if anybody's got any. Let's have a look. I'm getting some passed through to me. Okay. So I'll throw some out there at yourself, Stephen, if that's all right.
Okay.
So Hyperforce. What is Hyperforce? What even is, like, I understand it's a data layer that goes across all of Salesforce, but why is it special?
Rather than the data layer, it's an infrastructure layer, right? Built on AWS, but built with that security and compliance in the networks that we use. Ultimately, it's your platform for success, if I'm going to give it more of a marketing term, right?
Yeah.
Because we utilize Hyperforce for all of our sales clouds across Salesforce. And with the acquisition of Tableau, we want to ensure that Tableau can benefit from that same security and compliance infrastructure, that scalability, infinite scalability, and how we can continue to provide things like zero-time upgrades, speed of response and performance, no matter what pod you're on. Residency is a big one, especially across APAC. Of course, we've got a pod here in Australia, but we have customers who work with various different APAC regions, and they want their data to be resident in their own location. So we can provide much more in terms of data residency with the Hyperforce platform as well.
That's awesome.
So yeah, we could do a whole session on Hyperforce,
Yes.
but ultimately it's giving you that confidence in the infrastructure to support you as you scale and ensure that we're provisioning and meeting our SLAs in terms of delivery of a quality service of your cloud environments.
Yeah, fantastic. I've got another one here. You were mentioning before about the Copilot, or rather Copilot and Pulse, LLMs in general, but the security of the data. And the question here is about guardrails. Do you have control at the moment inside of Tableau Cloud when you are using something like Pulse to add additional guardrails around what users can ask or can't ask?
So we spent a lot of time when AI was really emerging. You may not know, but we've actually were a company, we were involved in some of the early papers in 2014 around use of generative AI that's now evolved into things like ChatGPT that we're all becoming very familiar with. But essentially, a lot of the work in Salesforce has been around that kind of prompt engineering to ensure that how it asks the questions lead to a very positive outcome that doesn't have hallucinations, doesn't give you toxicity, doesn't have bias. So there's a whole process that you go through in terms of how the prompt is generated to make sure it's grounded in your company data, but we don't provision any of that data out to any of those external LLMs. And then circling back, we ensure that you can actually use the large language models of your choice. So these will become more prolific. There's obviously a few main ones that we work with, OpenAI's and Profic, a couple of organizations that we're working with closely. There will be more as time goes on, and there'll be more that are kind of tailored towards use cases as well, so that they become much more relevant to users of Salesforce, much more relevant to users of Tableau in data and analytics. So we'll ensure that you get the most out of this very exciting capability around Gen AI, and it's infused into your process.
It's actually very, very cool that you mentioned that, you know, being able to choose different LLMs for different specialties, because that is something that I'm reading more and more about now. Of yes, we've got things like, you know, GPT-O that is this amazing thing, and it can do, I guess, what's known as large numbers of tokens. And whenever, you know, a question, it's broken into tokens that get sent off to the LLM. It reads through them all, figures it out, and then comes back. The more tokens you send an LLM, the more expensive that query is going to be. And so some are going to be more optimized for small token questions, a small focused question about a specific thing. And some are going to be more optimized for those large token questions. So having already the ability to look at, well, which ones do we want for which use cases, massive efficiency gains, and helps you really get to those answers without hallucinations, which is where we want to be.
Absolutely. And we bake Tableau Pulse into the Tableau platform for you, so it's available on cloud without any additional cost.
Amazing.
Graham, I see a question that's come in, probably you're best suited to answer. What is the approach Lightful takes to assessing existing dashboards and visualizations, and whether they should make the migration over from server over to a Tableau Cloud environment?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Essentially, it comes back to those end users. What we want to find is if a particular dashboard is being used by one person, but it's being used every single day, multiple times a day, that's a very, very valuable thing. We don't want to lose that. If there's a dashboard that gets logged into by 100 users, but once a year, we might say, hey, what's this one for? Can we look at optimizing this? Is this actually maybe a pulse metric that we want people being able to see that way? We don't need the dashboard, we just need the pulse metric. It's essentially a heat map of use over assets, and then coming down to where that information's coming from and who's using it. Again, always flowing back to the end users. Ultimately, the thing that we want to help you find, or help customers find, is the use case that's used as much of the time as possible by as many users as possible, because that's going to get you that adoption and that value from the tool. But yeah, no, that's an awesome question. Thanks, folks. Well, we might leave it there. We're coming up on time, unless anybody's got anything.
I think we have to. We're right on the knocker. So thank you. I was going to jump in and answer those questions, but you know, I felt you guys, you were just exceptional. There's nothing to add, so no value. As if anyone believes that. I want to thank Alex, Stephen, and G. You've all been exceptional. I get to work with you guys all the time, and I've still learned tons from today's session. So I'm 100% sure our audience has as well. A little reminder, WorksFest, you know, we're not quite halfway through yet. There's still a bit more to go. So if you've got the time, there's plenty of other content around AI, around Tableau, around data cloud, commerce. You know, kind of pick your fancy. There's a topic for you. We would love to see you at our customer event on Thursday night. It's in Salesforce Tower, so there's not a bad view from there either. Rumor has it there's a band that's gonna rock out some tracks to give a real festival vibe. So look, we're having a lot of fun. We hope you're having fun too. if you've got the time, come and spend with us. We'd love to have you. Thank you again to the panel. Thank you again to our audience. I think we'll wrap it there and wish everyone a good afternoon.
Cheers, folks. Bye.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.